Hey, how everybody doing, man? Welcome to the locker room. This is the first episode, pilot episode, first annual episode, whatever you want to call it, man. I'm your host, Kalal, KT, Y.M.E, K, whatever you want to call me, man. Just make sure you call me. Make sure you tap in and lock in, man, so we can all take this journey together and grow and see where we go, man. Like I say, first time, first go at this thing, man. Just trying to have a good show, man. We're going to talk about the college football playoff. We're going to do a little preview special on that. We're going to break down these games one by one, pros and cons, what these teams got to do to be successful, what they've been successful at as the season has been so far. So we just gonna get into it, man, and see what we pull away from it. If you do like this content, please comment, like, subscribe. Let's grow this community. Let's grow this fan base, man. Like I say, take this journey and see where we go. Think we can go good places, man. And think you're going to really get some good insight, good valuable insight, as I will be bringing in other people, friends of mine, not necessarily friends all the time, people that also have great insight on the game, whatever the topic is that we're speaking on that day, in particular. So, just get ready to take this ride, man. Take this journey with me, man. So, like I say, please comment, like, subscribe. That is very important as we try to grow this channel. So, let's get into this first game. We got 10th seeded Indiana going against 7th seeded Notre Dame. Now, this game is very interesting to me because, first of all, it's the Battle of Indiana. As we know, Notre Dame has been, if you want to say dominant program, you can use that. Definitely a big-time program. Definitely dominant in the state of Indiana. And you have Indiana coming up, trying to change that, trying to stake their claim, not only as far as the state of Indiana, but nationally. A team that really came out of nowhere this year. Nobody's seeing this team coming, really making some noise. And me personally, I like the way they play. They play in the. I watched them play Ohio State a few weeks ago. Really seemed like that game really overwhelmed them. I think that was their first time really playing against a team on that level, a team that level of competition. So I can see how that was a culture shock to them. But as far as the bare bones of what they got going on, I really like that. Notre Dame is Notre Dame. You know, as we say, we know what they've been. Uh, haven't won a national championship in a long time. It's been a while, but they usually keep talented guys on both sides of the ball. Just can't get over that hump. But I think this is a real interesting game because Notre Dame, let's start off with them, really run heavy team. Really run heavy team. They had 3 running backs with at least 600 yards rushing. So anytime you have that amount of production from the backfield, you really relying on the run game. I'm sorry, 2 running backs and 1 quarterback. The quarterback is heavily involved in the running game. Uh, so he's had over 700 yards, 14 touchdowns on the year. It's a team that averages 224 yards rushing per game, 15th in the nation. So, like I say, they really going to rely on that running game, and they're going to try to lean on that good offensive line that they got to really put the pressure on Indiana. You know, like I said, Indiana's still up and coming, so I think the trenches, Notre Dame really has the advantage in the trenches. But Indiana, excuse me, this is a team, I mean, they're really great against the run. Really great. Now, like we say, competition, teams they play, but all we can go off is what the numbers tell us. And the numbers tell us that Indiana is a really strong team against the run. So, and you speak on a team like Notre Dame, they have no receiver that has over 450 yards receiving. So if Indiana can really stop that run game and put Notre Dame in pass first, put them in position where they got to pass and throw the ball heavy, that really changes the course of this game. That really changes the course of this game. And I believe that's Indiana's plan because Notre Dame is not used to relying on the passing game. They're not used to relying on the passing game. So they can put them in uncomfortable, unfamiliar territory as far as how to win this game. Now, Do they have the talent? Well, it has to be seen. Just because you haven't done it isn't the evidence of not being able to do it. So that would be really interesting to see if Notre Dame is put into that position, if they can execute through the passing game. And Indiana, it's a team that averages 40 points a game. Now, albeit Notre Dame is not far behind at all at 39 points a game, but they can be explosive. This Indiana team can be explosive. So they do have a guy, 10 sacks. Mikhail Kamara, 15 tackles for loss, 10 sacks. So they want to put Notre Dame in that passing position so they can unleash this kid and get after the passer. That's really the only pass rusher that they have, but he has shown the ability that he can get home. That he can get home. And but Notre Dame themselves, they also bring a strong defense to the game. They only giving up 13 points a game on defense. Now, me personally, I look at Notre Dame's schedule and I say, hasn't really played any tough teams for real. At least Indiana has traversed through a Big Ten schedule. 11-1. Notre Dame also 11-1, but they have traversed through a Big Ten schedule. Don't forget, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois this year. It's a really bad loss at home. That is a really bad loss. And I mean, anybody can get upset, but that just showed, hey, this team can be had. And that was a low-scoring game. That was a low-scoring game. So that's why I say if Indiana can put the pressure on Notre Dame and really get them to struggle in that running game, that really changes this game. Now, Indiana's quarterback, Curtis Rourke, 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 70% completion percentage. This kid protects the ball, and this kid can throw it. And Elijah Surratt, 49 catches, 890 yards, 8 touchdowns. And they have Omar Cooper Jr., 27 catches, 571 yards, 6 touchdowns. Now, you might say, okay, that don't knock your socks off, but they got 2 running backs with at least 10 touchdowns and 600 yards, and Justice Ellison and Tyson Lawton. So if they can really get the running game going and feed off the play action and really put pressure on Notre Dame, this can really get interesting. Now, like I say, Notre Dame does have a tough defense, and I do believe that they have the advantage in the trenches. I believe we'll have to see how it plays out. But in this Notre Dame defense, like I say, 13 points a game, but they have no defender with over 6.5 sacks. No defender with over 6.5 sacks, so they don't generate a ton of pressure. That's really not their strong suit. They don't generate a ton of pressure, but they play good, sound defense. Xavier Watts on the back end, 5 interceptions on the year. So they bring a strong defense to the game, but I believe that Indiana will put them in some uncomfortable positions that they haven't been in all season. So I believe that Indiana can really be successful, man, if they come and play their style of ball and against Notre Dame, which, I mean, 2 teams that like to run the ball. That's where the foundation of the offense is built through. It's through the run game. Like I say, Riley Leonard, he only thrown for 2,000 yards this year, 16 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, does protect the ball, but really now has been put in a position where he's had to really utilize his arm for Notre Dame to win the game continuously. So I believe that's what this game comes down to. Notre Dame is at home. They are at home, which is a big advantage. Coming to the playoffs, we know that Notre Dame has a very good home crowd, very good home advantage. We've never seen this before on the FBS level, where a team is having a home playoff game. So the first time for this, so we know that the home crowd is just going to be raucous. They're going to be raucous. So Indiana's going to have to come in, focus. They're probably going to use a silent count. And if they can hush the crowd, that will really get on their side and really make it easier for them to operate as an offense, man. But that run defense is legit. It's legit. 76 yards a game. So it's going to be times throughout this game with Notre Dame, 2-3 yards, 3-4 yards. And if Notre Dame can stay in 3rd and 5 or less position, I think they could be successful. Now, if they're in position where it's 3rd and 8, And 39, 37, and Riley Leonard has to use his arm. Not saying he can't do it, but it would be really interesting to see if this kid can make the plays when it needs to be made as far as using his arm. Now, Notre Dame defense, man, they're really good. They're really good defense, but it's just something about Indiana, man. I like the way they play football. It could be a blowout. And Notre Dame could just come in and dominate and blow this team out of the water. But I'm telling you, Indiana has a good chance in this game. They have a really good chance in this game, and I like the way they operate. I really like their coach. They third down, they converted almost 50%, 48.5% on third down. That's great. That's great. And this defense only gives up 16 points a game. So, like I say, that Ohio State game, they kind of was overwhelmed, but did that teach them a lesson? Did that teach them a lesson? Can they learn from that and bring that into this big game against Notre Dame? And we will see. We shall see. So that's the first game. 10th seeded Indiana versus 7th seeded Notre Dame. It's a really interesting game. I'm really looking forward to watching this game. Today, actually, this game comes on today, I believe, at 8 o'clock today. So yeah, it's a really interesting game, man. And get ready to see a good one. Get ready to see a good one. Next game we have on the docket, we have 12th seeded Clemson. Okay, champions of the ACC, defeating SMU in the ACC championship, 10-3, last team to get in, going against the number 5 seeded Texas Longhorns. Which, I mean, we look at this game, Clemson. I mean, nice story for them to win the ACC. We all thought Miami was going to take that conference the way it was looking. But coming down the stretch, coming down the second half of the year, Clemson really played some good ball, and they put themselves in position to be able to get in the ACC championship game, and they took advantage of that, and they won. So big shout out to this team for controlling their destiny, but going up against a juggernaut, especially on the defensive side of the ball. When you talk about Texas, this Texas team, they only allow 12.5 points a game. That's second in the nation. Second in the nation in points per game. So, and they're number one against the pass in the nation. And see, that's key in this game because Cade Klubnik, he's really played good football this year. He's honestly played good football this year. He made more of a believer out of me. I thought he was just, okay, decent quarterback, but he's played good ball. 3,300 yards, 33 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. 63% completion percentage. That could be a little higher, but still, that's solid when they asking this kid to throw the ball as much as he's been asked to throw. Now, the thing is, he has one main weapon, Antonio Williams, 71 catches, 838 yards, 10 touchdowns. Not really a lot of production out of the other guys. So guys like Wexo, sorry about that, and Moore, they're going to really have to step up and become weapons and become targets in this game to really help Cade Klubnik out. Because like I say, Texas number 1 pass defense in the nation. So we know their corners are legit. We know their corners are legit. Jahdae Byrne, 5 interceptions, led the SEC. So these guys are legit, man. Colin Simmons, 8 sacks. Anthony Hill Jr., 16 tackles for loss, led the SEC. So they can get home also. They can get home also, as well as having a good secondary on the back end, because we know defensive line, secondary definitely work together to be a great pass defense. It ain't just having a great secondary. It's about the front seven applying pressure and making it easy on that back end. So, but I like the way Cade Klubnik played this year. It's just a daunting task. It's just a daunting task, and that's what it is. I mean, this is college football. Anything can happen, but going to Texas, they're going to be turned up. Clemson, they do have a solid run game, though, decent run game. Phil Maffa, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry. So they can run the ball. Now, if they can run the ball just enough to make Texas respect that, when they allow themselves to operate through the air, that will be seen. We will see how that go. This Clemson offense averages 34 points a game, give up 23 points a game on the defensive side of the ball, converts at 45% on third down. So if they can stay, same thing like I said about the last game, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3, put themselves in a position to convert on third down, to stay on the field, then we will see how that go. Now, Clemson's defense is suspect, and that's just simple and plain. The defense is suspect. It's not really that strong. Like I said, they give up 23 points a game. So you talking about a team like Texas, who can really score, and it's a team that averages 445 yards a game. 34 points per game. So it may not be as high as Indiana and Notre Dame at 40, but along with that defense, them averaging 34 points a game, that's really a tough task. Now the only thing is Quinn Ewers. Which Quinn Ewers we gonna get, y'all? Which Quinn Ewers we gonna get? We don't know how he gonna play. Now, albeit we saw him in the SEC championship against a Georgia team, that's a great defense, and I don't believe that Clemson has the same level of talent on the defense side of the ball to really make it that tough on them. But I mean, 2,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It's not really amazing, but what I think is going to happen is I think Texas is going to lean on that running game with 2 running backs over 500 yards. As we know, Trey Wisner, 176 carries, 863 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jaden Blue, another playmaker, 112 carries, 564 yards, 6 touchdowns on the season. So these are 2 really good running backs. These are 2 really good running backs who I think Texas are going to lean on. Now, they do have Isaiah Bond and Gunnar Helm in the passing game. 2 kids that can definitely make plays. One-on-one is hard to guard these guys, especially Isaiah Bond. They could definitely make plays in the passing game. So, like I say, I feel like Texas is going to lean on that running game, put their playmakers in one-on-one positions, force Clemson to have to play their playmakers one-on-one because they have to step up to stop the run, and then make it easy for Quinn Ewers that way on the back end. So it'll be really interesting to see if that can happen. Now, TJ Parker for Clemson does have 11 sacks, does have 19 tackles for loss. So if Clemson can somewhat stop that running game and here and there and put Texas in pass position, they do have a kid that can get home and apply pressure, which is major. That's major in today's football. Always been major in football. When you have teams in pass positions and you have a guy that can get home, that can be a game changer. So I feel like that's Clemson's, that's their best path to success. You let this Texas team run the ball, you're gonna be in a world of trouble. So they're gonna have to sell out to stop that run and make Quinn Ewers really make plays, which we know he's definitely capable of doing it. It's just which Quinn Ewers is going to show up, and is he actually going to make those plays? And but I think Texas wins. I think Texas wins this handedly. I think they win it handily because the defense is just so great. We've seen that defense all year. It's a great defense, man. And I believe that Clemson will not be able to score to get to a number that to really make this Texas team uncomfortable. So, not saying it's not possible, but I just believe that this Clemson team is just too much I'm sorry, I misspoke. I believe that this Texas team is too much for this Clemson team, and they just overwhelm them with talent on both sides of the ball. And be interesting to see, but yeah, I think Texas take care of this one. Okay, move on to our next game. The Penn State Nittany Lions, the 6th-seeded Penn State Nittany Lions, 11-2 coming out of the Big 12. That's my boy team, man. So I hope they win this one. Do got the Penn State hoodie on. Y'all can't see. This my boy team, and I like Penn State too. I like Penn State. It's always a team that I've wanted to see succeed. Going up against the 11 seeded SMU, 11-2, coming out of the ACC. Now, this is the thing about Penn State, y'all. We've always known they've had a good defense. They're gonna always have a good defense, and they bring another one into this game. They only give up 282 yards per game. That's top 5 in the nation. That's top 5 in the nation. Top 10 run defense, only giving up 103 yards a game, 178 pass yards a game. That's 12th in the nation, but that's still great. And we know that they got Abdul Kader. They got Abdul Kader coming off that end. This kid is dominant. 10 sacks this year, but also 20 tackles for loss. So that lets you know he's also a problem in that run game. He's also a problem in that run game. He just isn't a fly off the edge, go get the pass, go get the quarterback type guy, which we know he's capable of, but he's also an asset in the running game. Now, one thing about this Penn State team that's different from previous years, this is an explosive team. This team has potential. We saw against Oregon in the Big Ten Championship, they got off to a slow start. But I believe if they come out clicking like they did in the second half, I believe they beat Oregon, man. I believe they beat Oregon. Now, I do think that the defense was kind of shell-shocked by that Oregon speed and just the pace that Oregon plays with. But I like this Penn State team, man. They're top 5 in yards per play this year. They're top 5 in yards per play this year. See, and that's the thing with Penn State. They have a great two-headed monster at running back. Both of these guys average over 5 yards a carry. Katron Allen, 173 carries, 822 yards, 6 touchdowns. Nicholas Singleton, 131 yards, 131 carries, 838 yards, 7 touchdowns. That's tough. When you're talking about two guys that, depending on how long Penn State's playoff run lasts, could potentially be over 1,000 yards on the season. Two guys coming out of the backfield. They both bring their own style. They also similar in some ways, but they both bring their own style to the game, man. And both of these guys are legit weapons coming out of the backfield, along with that Penn State offensive line. And the beauty of that is Penn State actually have good quarterback play this year. Drew Aller, 2,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 69 completion percentage. But he showed in that Oregon game, hey, if need be, I can put the ball in the air, fellas, and I can make plays for us. And I feel like that's very important for this team because that isn't necessarily something that they have had in previous years. That's what's really interesting to me about this Penn State team. 34 points a game. They only give up 16 points a game. That's 7th in the nation. But they have a quarterback that can really make those plays. That's what's been holding them back. One of the best tight ends in the nation. If you don't know his name, Tyler Warren. I'm telling you, this kid is special. This kid is special. He will be playing on Sundays. 88 catches, over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. But that's really the main weapon. You know, Harrison Wallace and Singleton, they got to be weapons in the passing game, along with maybe another guy stepping up because Tyler Warren is the guy in the passing game. Last game against Oregon, they did show other guys can step up, but Singleton out of the backfield is definitely going to be a weapon in this passing game, and Harrison Wallace, additional receiver. So there's some things you got to watch out for with this Penn State team, man. And that's why I think this team can be dangerous if they can continue to get those explosive gains in the passing game, working off that play action. Because two great running backs like that, you have to respect that. Now, SMU, it's a team that averages 37 points a game, 8th in the nation. Another team that we didn't see coming this year playing to this level. Was the favorites to win the ACC championship. It didn't go down like that. Clemson team really stepped up, made plays. SMU put themselves behind the 8 ball in that game. But this team, outside of the running back position, they have great production at the running back position. Brashad Smith, 217 carries, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 yards a pop. at 217 carries, we see that this team really leans on this kid. He really gets things going for them on the offensive side of the ball. They like to spread the ball around when it comes to the pass game. They got 7 pass catchers with at least 300 yards, 2 receivers with over 500 yards. So it's really not one guy that they really say, okay, we're going to go to this guy. They like to spread the ball around, leading with the running game. They lead with the run game, and they like to spread the ball around from there. But like I've said, this Penn State team is top 10 against the run in the nation. So it'll be really interesting to see if SMU can run the ball or if they can't and they're put into those 3rd and long positions. You hear me say that a lot, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 5. Like, that's important. That's important. When you talk about trying to move the ball and I'm in 3rd and 7, and this is a position that we're not used to being in, and we got to rely on our quarterback continually throughout the game versus being 3rd and 3, now we can still run the ball when we know we're a good running team. That's important when it comes to 3rd down, because at the end of the day, we trying to stay on the field, or you trying to get that other team off the field. So 3rd down, it's an important down, man. And the yards to go really dictates how coach is going to call the game. So if they're able to stay within that 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3, and stay within their comfort zone, and maybe play action, or they can still even hand the ball off, that's very important for this team. That's very important for this team. This is a production by committee type of team. That's what SMU is. They're production by committee. They got 4 defensive linemen with at least 5 sacks. So they got 4 guys that may not get home all the time. 5 sacks, you say, okay, that ain't great, but you got 4 guys with at least 5. 4 guys that could potentially get home. You got 3 defensive backs with at least 3 interceptions. So they spread the wealth on both sides of the ball. They're a production by committee type of team, and receiving, sacks, and defensive back area. And now see, this is where it gets tricky for SMU. They give up 340 yards a game, but top 10 in the run. They only give up 98 yards a game on the ground. So if they can stuff that Penn State run and put Drew Allard in a position where he has to carry the whole game, which I believe that would be tough to do because Penn State has the advantage in the trenches, especially on that big offensive line that they got, then we'll see how it goes. But they're bad on the back end. I wouldn't say bad. They're not great on the back end. So, and we saw the capability that Drew Allard has to put the ball in the air. So that's a tricky position for SMU to be in. And 2 great backs like that, I don't believe that they will be able to completely shut them down, even if they make it tough on them. I think it'll be just enough production from Penn State in the running game where they're going to stay in those comfortable 3rd down positions. This is if SMU is successful stopping the run, which I think that'll be tough for them to do. I really do, because Penn State has a great offensive line, and it's just a tough spot to be in, man. It's just a tough spot to be in, trying to stop those 2 guys. Seeing them play, that 2-headed monster is something to behold. So we'll see how it goes. And SMU also not a very disciplined team. Not a very disciplined team. 130th in the nation with 8 penalties a game. So this team is going to have to show up and play their best ball on both sides of the ball and be disciplined on both sides of the ball, because you already underwhelmed as far as talent goes. Penn State is clearly the more talented team. There's no shot at SMU. There's no diss at SMU. I like what SMU has done this year, but you have to be playing your best ball, and you can't be making mental mistakes when you already, behind the 8 ball, so to speak, as far as ability goes. So, but one thing about this defense, I have to give them their credit. They are good at getting off the field. They're good at getting off the field. On 3rd down, teams only convert 32% against them. So that's good. That's good. If they can get off the field on 3rd down and get their offense back on the field and keep giving them an opportunity, and maybe continue to chip away at that Penn State run defense, because like I say, they do have Rashad Smith, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns on the season. So if they can get this kid going and really dominate time of possession and keep that Penn State offense off the field and wear that defense out, I believe that that's their best path to victory. Will they be successful at it? We don't know. That's why we watch the games. That's why they play the game. So it'll be really interesting to see just how successful SMU can be at stopping the Penn State's run game and getting their running game going. And quarterback Kevin Jennings, over 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 66 completion percentage on the year for SMU. So over 3,000, I mean, that's solid. The kid can throw the ball, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, though. You got to stay away from that. You got to stay away from that. One turnover, two turnovers could be a huge difference in this game when uh, you're already at a discrepancy as far as the talent level goes. But it'll be really interesting to see, man. Nothing's set in stone. That's why we play the game, like I say. But Penn State is definitely the favorite. Definitely the favorite. So, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Now, last game we're going to talk about today. Last game on the docket. And you know which game it is. You know. Ohio State, 8th seeded, 10-2, coming out of the Big Ten, going against 9th seeded Tennessee, 10-2, coming out of the SEC. And the reason why I say this game for last, because this is going to be a battle. This is SEC, this is Big Ten. So we already know what to expect as far as in the trenches, and we know what to expect from the skill position. It's been a battle, man, over these past few years. At one point, it was just hands down the SEC, the best conference, nothing else to talk about. But the Big Ten really got something to say about that. The Big Ten really has something to say about that, especially with these past few years, man. The Big Ten, I really like a lot of teams coming out of the Big Ten. Their ability up front, the trenches. And that's what most teams lose at to these SEC teams already. They just can't match up as far as in the trenches. You got good skill guys, good ability, but up front, if you can't match up with these SEC teams, then you've already lost. You've already lost. So that's going to be the story of this game. Who can win at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? On both sides of the ball, man. You know, we look at football, we look at 40 points a game, we look at guys making incredible catches, quarterbacks making incredible throws, but guess what? At the end of the day, it still comes down to the line of scrimmage. Still comes down to the line of scrimmage. I don't care the formation, I don't care what they doing on the back end, I don't care what this person doing. Football is still won and lost at the line of scrimmage, man. And that's why I love this game. But let's get into it. Will Howard, 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Now, I put that out there. I'm going to come back to that. Ohio State running backs, they got a great two-headed monster too. And two guys with two different styles. Two different styles who both can make incredible plays. Travion Henderson, 108 carries, 751 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 yards a pop. Quinshawn Judkins, 147, 805, 8 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a pop. You know, great running game. Great running game. And they're going to lean on that. They're going to lean on that. Even though they do have a generational weapon in Y.M.E. Smith on the outside. 57 catches, 934 yards, 10 touchdowns. That kid's special. That kid is special. We've seen it all year. We heard about it at the beginning of the year. But if you haven't got a chance to watch him play, please watch this game. Please watch this game. Or go back and watch highlights from previous games. This kid is special, man, as a freshman. But they do have two more good weapons. Emeka Ibuka, 700 yards, and Cornell Tate. These two guys that can also make plays in addition with Y.M.E. Smith. So when it comes to just pure talent on the offensive side of the ball, this Ohio State team has it, man. They have it. But see, Will Howard. You watch that Michigan game? Do you really feel comfortable with this guy? Do you really feel like he's a guy that can guide this team to a national championship. Because on this path, it's going to be somebody that's going to make it hard on Trevion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins and put Will Howard in Ohio State in a position where this kid got to continually make plays. And he's the key to this offense and unlocking it. Michigan, defending national champion. Yeah, they lost a lot of talent. They still had Mason Graham up front, and that's another that boy dominated. He dominated that Ohio State offensive line. But Tennessee has James Pierce Jr. Even though he plays outside, he doesn't play on the interior, but still a great player that can wreck a game plan up front. But Will Howard, man, this kid he has to play great ball. He has to play great ball and really lead this Ohio State team. I ain't saying he got to throw for 300 yards. I'm not saying he got to throw for 400 yards, but he has to make plays on third down. It's going to come times in this game where it's going to be a 37, where Will Howard's going to have to maybe get out the pocket, find a guy, maybe scramble, 10-yard gain, 12-yard gain. Don't turn the ball over and play smart football because your defense is good enough. You have the ability on the offensive side of the ball. Ohio State on the defensive side of the ball, they got Caleb Downs and Jack Sawyer. Two great defensive players. Caleb Downs, extraordinary guy. Special. That kid is special on the defensive side of the ball. You got Jack Sawyer. Now, he only had 4.5 sacks this year, which you definitely would like to see more production, but we know the ability is there. We know the ability is there, so this team, they only give up 241 yards a game. That's number one in the nation. Top 10 against the run, 97 yards a game. Number 2 against the pass, 144 passing yards a game. So this defense is going to keep Ohio State in this game, and it's going to give them a great chance to win this game and potentially going to win this game for them, depending on how Will Howard acts. Now, like I was saying earlier, they want to say all this cute stuff about football, this, that, third, but when it comes to playoff football, you got to play defense and you got to run the ball. That formula still works, y'all. That isn't outdated. That isn't 1860. That isn't 1920 football. No, that formula still works. It's still alive and well to this day. And you will see teams implement that more so in the NFL when it comes to playoff football. Like I say, this is our first time seeing a 12-team playoff in college, so we'll see how teams choose to play it. But this Ohio State defense is great. It's great. Now, Tennessee. I really like this Tennessee defense. I really like this Tennessee defense. They give up 282 yards a game, 6th in the nation. Top 10 against the run, only giving up 101 yards a game. And that's why I say what I say. It's going to be times in this game where Will Howard is going to have to make a play. As great as those two running backs are, Tennessee is great against the run. They're great against the run. So it's going to be times where you have 37, where you have 39, and Will Howard is really going to have to step up, and he's really going to have to make a play. So, he just has to be productive on that end. Now, they give up 181 pass yards a game, which is 15th in the nation. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. James Pierce Jr. has 7.5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. He is the only one that can generate consistent pressure, though. He is the only one that can generate consistent pressure for this Tennessee defense. Maybe a guy steps up in this game. Big players make big time plays and big moments. So we will see how that go. But if we're looking back on the season, he's the only one that consistently can generate pressure for this Tennessee defense, which could also be a problem. But they do have two great guys in the secondary. Will Brooks, 3 interceptions. Gerard McCoy, 4 interceptions this year. So, yes, maybe the pressure's not there always, but they do have a good back end as far as those two guys making plays in the back end. So, like I say, great against the run up front. And if they can put Ohio State in compromising positions, and we will see how Will Howard plays. I just think sometimes he just doesn't see the field well. And I think maybe it's a confidence thing too at times, but I just feel like Will Howard struggles to see the field sometimes, and that's really his downfall when it comes to making these plays. Michigan game, goal line. Go. I'm sorry. I apologize, Will Howard. That wasn't you. That was Michigan's quarterback that made that stupid play. Threw it right to the man when the man was wide open in the end zone. My apologies. But still, had some turnovers in that game that he just, it's just like, man, what are you looking at? You know, doesn't see the field well, but he does have the ability to make the throws. Does have the ability to make the throws. I just feel like that is Ohio State's one weak point coming into the season. And Tennessee, as far as ability, they have a great kid with ability at quarterback. Nico, bear with me, y'all. I am a labor. I don't know how to say his name. I know the kid though. Pretty sure y'all know him too. 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 65% completion percentage. This kid has the ability. He can move, has a big time arm, but he's still a freshman. Never been in this position before, and he's got to go to the horseshoe. He's got to go to the horseshoe as a freshman, trying to win a big game on the road. But one thing about this Tennessee team, they gonna lean on that running game. Dylan Sampson, 256 carries, 1,400 yards, 1,485 yards, and 22 touchdowns, which led the SEC at 6 yards a pop. So this team can run the football. This team is gonna run the football. Ohio State, great run defense as we know, but it's going to be tested, and that goes for both of these teams. Two teams that can really run the ball, two good run defenses. But this kid can get it done, man. This kid can get it done. Dylan Sampson, I'm telling you, this kid can get it done. So if that Tennessee offensive line can really get some push and really open things up for him, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Because this Tennessee team, 5 receivers with over 300 yards, not great. Dante Thornton, 25 catches, 647 yards, 6 touchdowns. But here's the thing. With Sampson's ability to run the ball, guess what that does? That brings down safeties. That forces safeties to help in the running game. And guess what that means? Dante Thornton, 26 yards per catch, leads the nation. So this is a kid that really makes huge plays. You heard what I said? 25 catches, 647 yards. So all he does is make big plays. And that because of Tennessee's ability to put defense in a tough spot where they got to come down to help stop that run and really open things up on the back end for that kid that leads the nation at 26 yards per catch. Now, you do got Caleb Downs back there, though. You ain't got your average. You got Caleb Downs back there in that secondary over there who can definitely help prevent some of those big plays. But they're going to run Sampson. They're going to play action, and they're going to try to hit Thornton deep. That's just how they play offense, which is still, it can be productive, but they have to be effective running that ball because putting this kid Nico in a position where say, hey, run game right there today, go win this game, that's tough. 5-star quarterback or not. That's a lot to ask from a freshman going on the road into the horseshoe, man, playing against this Ohio State defense. So it's going to be this game is going to be all about who can impose their will, who can play their style of football, which is similar, even though Ohio State does have the ability and have the weapons to throw the ball a little better than the Tennessee team. You know, I will say that. Will Howard does have more experience, but it's going to be all about who can impose their will and play their style of football. Play their style of football, man. It's going to be really interesting to see. I really can't wait to watch this game. I do believe this will be the best game of the weekend. Tennessee defense only gives up 15 points a game. Ohio State defense give up 10.9 points a game. You know, so it's going to be a time of possession. It's going to be protecting the football. It's going to be who can win in the trenches, big uglies type of game. That's what it's going to come down to, SEC versus Big Ten football. And we all know what that looked like. We've seen that before in the past. So we have a good idea of how this game's gonna go. But I'm telling you right now, what this game is gonna come down to, I said it once, I'll say it again. Who can keep themselves in manageable third down situations? Who can be in those third and threes? Who can be in those third and ones? Who can consistently do that, moving the ball up and down the field? Because on one hand you got a quarterback that's young. On one hand you got a quarterback you just don't know what you're gonna get from in Will Howard. So who can make it? Who can insulate and make it comfortable for their quarterback, for their guy slinging that pill, so they can be productive. Two great running games, and we gonna see how this go, man. And but I do think a kid like Jeremiah Smith, I do think a kid like Jeremiah Smith can make you a couple plays throughout the course of the game. Even when Will Howard isn't on target as much, even if the ball isn't quite there, he can get that ball. He can make a play, and really a game changing play. Even as a freshman, this kid is that special. This kid is that special. Dante Thornton has that ability to really make game changing plays too. But Jeremiah Smith is special, man. And I think my heart is going with Tennessee. I want to see Tennessee win. So I'm just letting you know that right now. But I think Ohio State's weaponry at the receiver position I think it will make a difference in this game if Will Howard can just be somewhere around 225, touchdown or two, 68 completion percentage, protect the football. If he can be somewhere in that range, in that ballpark with the way they can run the ball, this is banking on that they are successful running the ball. Then I feel like Ohio State will come home with the victory. I think this kid Nico, at quarterback for Tennessee, his inexperience, I think it might. That's a lot to overcome, asking this kid to go to the shoe. It's a lot to ask. But if Tennessee can really get Dylan Sampson going and get him in a position where they can play action, roll this kid out, give him some really simple reads, because he has the ability, and give him some really simple reads, and that defense really withstands on the opposite side and really shuts down that run game and put Will Howard in a position where he has to throw the ball and really has to make every play, then I feel like this game is in Tennessee's advantage, man. But yeah, my heart says Tennessee, my head says Ohio State. But y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Let me know what you think. Predictions for each game. Am I tripping? Am I right? Tell me what you think, man. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm wrong, you feel like I'm wrong, let me know, man. That's the beauty of football. They got to go out there and play. You got to go out there and line it up. That's why I love this game. That's why I love this game, because we can sit here and talk on paper about it look like this, it look like that, this what it should be, that's what it should be. But the man that's putting on them helmet and shoulder pads gonna say, nah, sir. Or they gonna say, yes, sir. They gonna determine how this game goes, man. And that's why I really love this game, man. I really love this game. So it's just a game of football in general. But this game as a matchup, I really love this game as a matchup too, also. Because I feel like it's two teams that kind of try to mirror that same philosophy, stopping and running the ball. But Ohio State can get past happy a little bit at times, and but I don't think they're gonna do that this game. I don't think they're gonna do that unless they absolutely have to. So yeah, man, let me know predictions, scores, what you think. If you enjoyed it, what you want to see next time, what you don't want to see next time. So just let me know, man. Like I say, I'm your host, Kalal, KT, Y.M.E, K, Lyle, whatever you want to call me. Just let me know what you think in the comments. Engage. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your brother, your mama, your auntie, sister, uncle. Tell everybody, man, and let's really try to grow this community, man, where we can engage back and forth. I really would like that with you guys. I really feel like that's important. Engaging and really being in tune with how the viewer feels, what the viewer thinks. This y'all show. I'm just running it, man. I'm just talking. That's all. So that's really how I feel. So let me know, man, and I really appreciate your time, taking time out your precious day to sit down and listen to somebody just talk about football. So I really appreciate that, guys. And comment, like, subscribe, share. Have a blessed day. I'm out.